Okay, so what's happening next class? Test. Now, I just want to remind you that all of this stuff that we've been working on for the past couple weeks is on this test, and it's all on Canvas. Notes, keys, videos, all the things. So utilize that because it's all up here right now. I'll clean it off after the test. But here's what's on here for today. You've got your test review and an answer key, answers only. I have the key with all the work. It's going to stay in here, but you can come any tutorials or during class for the rest of class and look at it. And then there's also, I put the practice key, the homework that I already checked. I put the answers only to that. But again, I have a worked out key. I think there are a couple mistakes on some problems. I haven't fixed it. I haven't rescanned it. I'm sorry. I'll try, but I don't know. And then also you have, I need to pass those back. We took a CFU, I don't know, a while ago over operations, and we already graded it. I will pass that back after I'm done talking. And then the CFU is on the front of your review. That's what we're about to grade. But the answer keys to those are linked on here too. And those have work. If you click on this, it's got work on all of them. So there's the first one. Y'all remember doing this? I'll pass those back to you. And then here's the next one. Okay, so we can actually go ahead and start grading this. So this is the front page of your review. I did put the work. I'm sorry that the spacing is kind of tough, but it is what it is. This is going to be out of 6 points, okay? So, I'll zoom in. First two are just solving, okay? So those are just equations. You did need to get LCDs. You did need to consider domain restrictions. Number one was kind of a foiling mess, but it actually worked out kind of nice, and you only got one solution. This topic of the test is non-calculator. Number two, you did have to factor your denominators, difference of squares under that last fraction. Your LCD did have 3 factors in it. It's okay for an LCD to have 3 factors. I would probably see it as a red flag if you had more than 3 binomials. Maybe like a number and then 3 factors would be okay. But if you've got to like multiply a numerator by like 3 plus things, that's probably not right for this class. But then you did have to factor on number 2, and then one of your solutions was a domain restriction, so you had to throw it out. Okay. Again, these first two problems would be a non-calculator test. So 1 point for the first 2, 1 point for the second 2. Okay. Word problem. Your answer was 10/3, 3 1/3, 3 hours, 20 minutes. I'll accept all those on this. Okay. I think your test is going to be a little bit more specific for that. So that's number 3. Number 4, you got x equals 8.33, but you're talking about free throws, and you would need to round that up. If you kind of plugged in an 8 for x and stuff, it's not going to make sense, or it's not going to give you a high enough percentage, so it does need to round up to 9. But technically, the algebra, you should be getting 8.33. Reasonableness tells us that needs to be 9, yeah.
What if you don't do like the work and still get it right on some?
When I grade the test, you're going to get half your points for your setup, half your points for your answer, okay? So if you don't have it set up the way that we went over it or something that makes sense mathematically, you will miss half the problem, okay? And if I can't follow it, like I'm not going to go on a scavenger hunt to follow your work. And then this one was 3 miles per hour. This was the boat speed plus or minus current. Again, write that down, y'all. Write that down. I'm telling you, it makes it so much easier because you've really got to get, if you have those denominators flipped, like either flipped with the plus and the minus or flipped with the x and the 5, you're not going to get the right answer, okay? And then the last one is inverse proportion, varies inversely, inversely proportional. Those are kind of the same words there. Here's my hint on this. If you see this type of problem, pay attention to what varies inversely. You have to make sure you're setting it up the right way. You're talking about time and you're talking about speed. So it needs to be time times speed equals time times speed. Okay? Just be careful with that in case, it may not be the first sentence that you read that it tells you what's varying inversely. So just make sure you're really looking at what that is. Okay? So these are out of 6 points. So put a grade on there, like a number grade. So if you miss one, 5 out of 6, just type that in your little calculator and get a percentage. I'm going to walk around and check those in just a minute. So put a grade at the top. Then go to the back page if you'd like to. Go to the back page and I will help you make a little study guide real quick. Just as you move forward. Okay? So the rest of, and if you want to just keep working on the review, then by all means keep doing that. But after I'm done, I'm going to come get those CFU grades, and I'm going to pass back your other CFUs. That's what I need to do. Someone don't let me forget that. But just so you are aware, let me grab one of these. The rest of the whatchamacallit, test review is kind of broken down by topic, okay? So operations, that is just simplifying. There's no solving. Your answers should all be like fractions, things that cancel out, so on and so forth. Then there's a couple more solving. You've already done 2. And then there's 2 pages of word problems. So I know it's a lot, and that's why you're having the whole class. But I just thought this might be helpful to, like I said, just kind of do a little brain dump on the back of the review while you have space. So topic 1 is operations, which means you can be doing multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction, okay? The instructions on all of these problems will just say simplify, because are these equations? No, it's simplify all of it. So if I were you about to take this test, when I get to these problems, I would make a little note, which is which. Which one's a multiply, which one's a divide, which one's an addition, which one's a subtraction, and think about what you need. We lumped 9.1 was where we did multiplication and division. Okay, that was the first day. We had that really terrible warm-up that everyone enjoyed with tons and tons of factoring. This was the day that we just factored till we wanted to cry. Okay, but we're not going to cry on the test because we're really good at it now. So here's your steps for this. Step 1. If it is a division problem, what do we have to do first? If it's division, only if it's division, you have to keep, change, and flip. Do you have to do that if it's multiplication? No. I think in the notes I honestly called it step 0, but I'll just go. I already wrote a 1. So if it's division, make sure you do that. I always do that very first thing because I feel like I'm going to forget it if I don't do it at the beginning. But then it turns it to a multiplication problem, and now you're to step 2. Factor everything. Everything factors. And I will tell you, you're going to see it all. Every numerator, every denominator, it needs to be as factored as possible. We may be nice. We may give you a numerator of, 3x plus 7, and there's nothing you can do. But I'm talking GCF. I'm talking difference of squares. Easy factoring. And not easy factoring, which means you have to do what? If A doesn't equal 1, you have to group. All 4 of those are fair game, okay? And you will see all 4 of them probably multiple times throughout the test. Easy factoring, you'll see a lot, but some of those other ones, difference of squares, GCFs, grouping, it's going to be all over the place, okay? So factor everything. Then step 3, once you're in a multiplication of all bunch of factors, factors over factors, all the things, that's when you can go to a mega fraction. Y'all remember that? Mega fraction, and step 4, reduce. Reduce common factors. Okay? That means they have to be matching exactly. They have to be one on the top and one in the bottom. Can't both be on the bottom or both be on top. It's like you can go across, but once it's in the mega fraction, you are safe to go across and simplify stuff down. When it is simplifying, y'all say canceling, and that's, we already have talked about this, but what is it really simplifying to? To 1, okay? So there was a problem on, I think it was like the mixed practice or something, and everything canceled out. It just became a 1. Okay, cool. That can happen. Okay? You can simplify with common factors. You can simplify with GCFs that are numbers. All that is fair game. Okay? On the other side of that was section 9.2, which was over addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction. What do you have to have for that? You need an LCD. And I really want y'all to write it to the side like I did on every single problem in the notes. Tell me what your LCD is on your test because that's one thing that I'm really going to be looking at. Okay? That's like part of your points. So make sure it's labeled and clear for me. Obviously, if that's wrong, then I'm going to have a whole lot to look at. So don't get it wrong. So number one, I would try to factor. So factor as much as you can. So I'll say factor everything again. There is a chance you could reduce. If you do reduce, you can only reduce within one fraction at a time. No cross canceling happening yet. It's not very common, but it can happen. We've seen some examples. So factor everything, reduce. I'll put a question mark because again, that's not a guarantee. Okay, only within a fraction can you do that. Step two, is you would need to find your LCD. Remember, all factors in the denominator, so figure out what that is. And then step three is where we would go and we would adjust our numerators. Adjust our numerators. So we would say, okay, what does this numerator need to be multiplied by? What does this numerator need to be multiplied by? Show me that. Okay, show me what you're doing before you do the simplification. I want to see I times this by this. I times this by this, times this by this. Okay? Then after that, this is 4. After that, it's just algebra 1. Now you need to simplify. Simplify the numerator as much as you can. Simplify means maybe you FOIL. That could be an option. Maybe you just distribute. You also want to check for combining like terms. I'm abbreviating, so make sure you know what all that means. Okay? You could have to FOIL. You could have to distribute. You could have to combine like terms. You could also possibly factor. Kind of in that order is the way that it would need to be done. There is potential that you could reduce. So put over your LCD. Remember, LCDs matter. They are a part of your final answer. And again, you want to check and see, does anything reduce at the end? And that's a question mark because it's not a guarantee. But there are going to be some times that when you like clean up that numerator all the way, if it can factor and you write back in your LCD at the very end, it is possible that something could reduce. And y'all remember my little trick. I write over LCD until the very end because you don't want to cancel out prematurely. Yes?
So once you're at step 5, you can cancel out across?
Once you're at step 5, you should be in one fraction. And if you are able to factor and get the numerator as a product, that's when you could cancel. But there was a lot of problems on our homework over 9.2, like the first several ones over 9.2, like this didn't factor at all, so you just like left it. You wouldn't be able to cancel anything here. The only time that could happen is if I factored this, I know this doesn't, but say there wasn't a 2 there, then I could do that, possibly. But it won't really happen until that final step. So that's topic 1. I will say though, do not sleep on topic 1. Okay, I'm very nervous about topic 1, just because it's been so long. Okay, and it's nitpicky. So be careful with that. Pay attention on the review. Topic 2 is solving. Oh, also make a note. This topic 1 is non-calculator. Non-calc. Okay. Topic 2. This is going to be actual solving equations. These don't have as many steps, so I'm almost done. Is this helping? If it's not, you can keep working on your review. But if it is, then keep listening. This will be non-calculator as well. Okay? This is section, well, actually, we kind of spread it out over 9.3 to 9.5, the rest of the stuff. But we kind of did a little bit each day. So these are algebra problems that are like already set up. Okay? They're more complicated solving. Yeah.
Sorry, because this
Combine like terms.
And then DIST.
Distribute. Okay. All right. So topic 2 is solving. With that, I would still say to step 1, factor everything. There could be a potential to reduce. It's a question mark because it's not a guarantee, but maybe you can. And that, again, that's only safe to do within one fraction at a time. Okay. So if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I wouldn't expect it much at all. Okay. But if it does, then maybe life is easier. Factor everything. You do need to find an LCD here when you're solving. So that's important. List it for me because that's something I'm going to look at. But does your LCD matter after you adjust your numerators? No, not in solving. And that's what I'm real worried about is on simplifying, you better be keeping your LCDs in your answers. In solving, you don't need them. So adjust your numerators however they need to be. What do I need to multiply this guy by? What do I need to multiply this guy by? And then so on. And then after that, you need to set the numerators equal. I missed a step. What else do I do with my LCD?
Multiply it out.
Domain restrictions. Numeration. Numerators equal to each other. Okay, so go back to step 2. Find LCD, oh my gosh, can't talk. And domain restrictions. That's a big thing on solving. Okay, you need to think about what those are. So set numerators equal to each other and solve. And then don't forget to go back and compare your solutions to your domain restrictions. If you keep a solution that is a domain restriction, you're going to miss 5 points. Okay? With solving, again, you could be foiling, you could be combining like terms, you could be setting equal to 0 and factoring. You may not. It may be linear and you're just solving for x, but you need to know how to do that. Okay, so there's a couple questions there. Then we get to topic 3. This is the one everyone's going to freak out about, but I'm just telling you, some of the other ones on topic 1 and 2 are no joke. Topic 3 is your applications. This one is going to be a separate page, so I'm going to have y'all do the non-calculator first. You're going to get topic 1 and 2 done, turn it in, and then you're going to have topic 3. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know. I may change my mind and do the applications first. Not sure. This one is going to be calculator. And this is your word problems. Really, your steps are the exact same as solving, but you have to set them up. So make sure you show your setups. I want to see that. That's half your points, is how did you set your stuff up. Obviously, if you do that wrong, everything else is going to be wrong. And then you just solve it. Solve the equations. It could be that you have a proportion. A lot of our setups are proportions. So you could do, what's a proportion? Fraction equal to fraction. And then how do you solve those? Cross multiply. Or you could need an LCD. And then that would be like what you do above. Okay? Here's your problem types. We did average cost. Was that the first one? Average cost was one. We did percents. And then we did inverse variation. This was the first day. That's 9.3. Then 9.4, I know I taught that to y'all last, but 9.4 was your work rate. That was from 9.4. And then 9.5 was your motion problems. Motion problems was 9.5. Remember, motion problems, you have same time problems and you have total time. So pay attention to those. Same times are proportions, total times are not. And the good old river problem or airplane problem or whatever, what's the little phrase that I want you to write down? Boat speed, course, this could be airplane speed or person speed if you're swimming, plus or minus current. If it's an airplane problem, it would say wind. But yeah. So that's how you set them up. What?
What are the different wind types?
Tailwind is like downstream, where it's at your back helping you go faster, so you use a plus. Just like a current downstream would be going with you, use a plus. Headwind is upstream, or is like upstream, where it's working against you. I think there's one in here. I saw someone. Is there one where did I see that? I don't know. Maybe it was a homework problem in 9.5 that I was helping someone with. But those are the vocab words there, okay? So, there's a little brain dump for you. Hopefully that helps. We still got 10 minutes, so I'm going to stop talking because I need to get your grades and pass back other stuff for you, okay?